good. And
Okay, we're ready to start. Everybody look at that clock. It is now 3 o'clock. We will adjust accordingly. Welcome to everybody who is here. We have 100% attendance from our commission, so let's get on with it. First order of business is approval of the minutes from Valentine's Day. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion, additions, corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
They are official. We have a couple of speakers today. Owen Bailey is Director of Land Use and Policy, Eastern Shore Land Conservancy. David, the table is yours. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Members of the committee, thank you for giving me the chance to speak to you. For the last 2 years, the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy has been spearheading a trails initiative to create more trails on the Eastern Shore. This started when, if you look at a map of the trails throughout the state of Maryland, it looks like somebody dropped a plate of spaghetti on Baltimore, Washington, and we just have a few specks of parsley here on the Eastern Shore.
Owen, can you move that mic just a little bit closer?
Yes.
Thank you.
In researching why this is, we learned that it's because our small rural governments just don't really have the staff capacity or the technical assistance to think forward and for the planning and implementation of trails. So since then, ESLC has organized a steering committee. We have solicited the help of the National Park Service, their Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program to help us sort of correct this. And we have been promoting this vision of an Eastern Shore Regional Trails Initiative to connect our towns and parks and historic places with a interconnected trail network. One of the ways we're doing that, it's not so much by ESLC designing or planning trails, but just really championing the benefits that trails bring to our communities, including both mental and physical health by giving our residents a chance to better connect to nature or have easier access for outdoor recreation or exercise. To promote more connections to our parks and playgrounds and schools so kids can ride their bikes to parks and not have to ask their parents for a ride, and for economic development purposes. The Great Allegheny Passage, which is about 150 miles connecting Pittsburgh almost into western Maryland, brings in on average about $121 million annually in economic benefits. That amounts to about $800,000 per mile. And we think it is about $1 million a mile to build a trail, but if it brings you back an annual investment or return on investment of $800,000, that's pretty good. And they do that through a number of ways, both in tourism, attracting people who want to come to beautiful communities like the Eastern Shore to get to experience our beautiful rural landscape via a trail. It's much more pleasant than driving past at 50 miles an hour inside an automobile. By attracting new businesses. Noted that when I was growing up here in Cheshire, we used to have a bike shop, and we don't have a bike shop anymore. I think part of the reason is people don't really ride bikes anymore, and that's not because people aren't interested in riding bikes. Studies show that it's because most people don't feel safe riding bikes on the roads that we have, especially if cars are going bigger and they're going faster, and more people are driving. But they can attract new businesses who can cater towards people who want to come to our communities for the purposes of biking and exploring our scenic landscape. Hotels, restaurants, other services that can grow up right next to the trail systems. We've seen in other places where you have restaurants that are built right next to a trailhead, knowing that people want to come to that trail and they have a nice place to eat, to have something to drink, to use the bathroom, and enjoy the facilities. And when thinking about trails as a means of transportation, they're also a platform on which we can build wealth, similar to our local streets. The reason why areas like downtown Rock Hall and Chestertown are productive environments is because they have a beautiful streetscape that's very inviting for people to come out. It's a place that's attractive for people to open a business because it's easier to walk there. Trails can have the same effect. And they invite this idea of sort of an economic gardening, where if you put in trails, it will attract businesses to grow up organically from within your community. And as they will also connect to historic places to make it easier to access these places within towns. they also create more value in your communities through that access, and they create more livable communities. One way that I see it is our towns have kind of become like products. This was true before the pandemic, and I think it's especially true after the pandemic. Because most people can work online, they can live wherever they want. So they shop around to different towns asking, what does this town or this community have to offer me? What does it have that I want? And as is seen in the recently updated land preservation, parks and restoration plans that Kent County updated in 2022, and that every other county in Maryland, one thing that we noted in there is pretty much every LPPRP stated that people want more trails, they want longer trails, and they want trails that connect to places. So in trying to find something with inside our product that we can grow, we see trails as a big selling point. I myself love trails. I love using the trail that we have here in Chestertown. Love to take my kids on it. I wish it extended across 213 to get closer to my house, because it's sort of a burden to get there. We used to have to get into a car to drive to the trail, and I would love for that trail to extend to the other parts of our community. In the coming weeks and months, our steering committee, again, working with the National Park Service, we put together a vision statement, a mission and value statement. We're looking to create an Eastern Shore Trail Coalition that can help our local governments find resources, find technical assistance, knowing that we're all pretty much stretched to the max. We don't have that much capacity, but it doesn't mean that capacity can't still be found through grants and technical assistance. We can lobby the state asking for the creation of more resources for our rural communities especially. And we've also created a regional trail map that shows all the trails that are on the Eastern Shore, as well as all the planned trails that can be found in comprehensive plans, in the LPPRP, and in other master plans. And on April 27th this year is Celebrate Trails Day. So we'll be having a couple of events to really show the benefit of trails. I think we'll have one here in Chester on the rail trail, and I think we're going to have another one at Cypress Branch State Park, which has a beautiful trail that connects right into the town of Millington. So that's all I have.
Questions for Orrin?
I'd just like to say, when I was in Italy a couple years ago, I was out running in the morning, and I saw this train of little kids, like kindergartners, with their little helmets on, biking up a hill, one teacher in the front, and they were just looking around, waving, trucking along, and I thought, I would love to have that in Kent County, kids riding their bike to school, especially with the schools in Chestertown.
Yeah.
We really, and it's a catch-22, if you don't have a bike shop, you don't have bikers. If you don't have bikers, you don't have a bike shop, and how do you get little kids out there? And I'd love to see some effort put into that and get them riding, and at all ages, high school, middle school, little kids. It's just, and when you're in Europe, there's so much biking, and they have roads. They work around it, and I just think we lack imagination or, willpower to really put any effort into that. And as a cyclist, I hear what you're saying about crossing 213 and getting in that lane to turn. It took me a while to get comfortable doing that, and I'm still not, with the clip-in pedals, you're like, eeks! But, yeah, we could do so much more. We've got such a beautiful county. I really hope that you can make some good progress doing that.
Yeah. And we're really looking to our towns right now to see how can we grow within them, how can we expand on what we already have here in Chestertown, how can we expand on what Galena is doing. Rock Hall has some beautiful streets, and have maybe a connection from Rock Hall to Eastern Neck Island, Betterton, to better connect the residents who live out on that road to get to the beach. I hear what you're saying about Europe. My wife is Danish, and every time we go to Denmark, it's beautiful to see the connections they have and see kindergartens take classes in these bike buses where it's one teacher who pedals the bus, and it has room for 8 students, and they can ride their bikes downtown to show the kids, this is where the library is, this is where the parks are, this is how you cross the street, this is how you look for traffic, this is how your community works as part of not only exploration but education.
Orrin, you stand between the door and Judy Gifford, so you may have a volunteer if you work it right. You talk about an Eastern Shore. Trails Coalition.
Yes.
How far along are you in getting that group together?
So we have, like I said, a vision, a mission, and values statement. We're going to be putting together a strategic plan and a work plan, and I think sometime in the near future, we're going to be applying for some seed funding to hire a part-time or full-time director, and that person will be tasked with just being a resource for our local governments on the Eastern Shore and other organizations like in Talbot County, there's a group called Talbot Thrive, and it's a nonprofit organization that is designed to advocate and help the promotion of trails to connect Easton to Oxford and St. Michael's. And there's a similar group in Worcester County that wants to connect Snow Hill to Pocomoke State Park and to connect it to Ocean City and the like. So we're looking to work with groups like that.
In terms of the composition of this coalition, what kind of members have come together?
So we're still early on. We're not quite there yet, but we will probably one day be creating a board. Right now, our steering committee is made up of representatives from every county. I sort of serve as, since I live here in Chestertown and Kent County, I fill that role. So Jim Bogdan, who's chair of the Chestertown Parks and Recreation Commission, he's on there. But we will one day look for various levels of support. Look into a group like the Circuit Trail System in Philadelphia. They have trail ambassadors, which are local governments that have supported the group. Then they have trail supporters, which are nonprofits, and then they have a category for businesses that have supported it. And if you go to their website, you can see the huge array of various groups that are supporting that initiative. We're not quite there yet, but we're one step at a time, or one pedal at a time.
Good. What's your next step?
Next step is really a celebration of Trails Day.
Okay.
We want to use that as a day to really show the benefits and the support. We find that trails is something that is not really out there in the public eye all that much, but the more people we talk to, the more people we learn are really interested in seeing this, especially in our rural communities, to make those connections. Like I mentioned, I would love to be able to get my kids easier access to the Gilcrest Rail Trail. Their daycare is just at the other end of that, and I would love to be able to ride them to daycare on a bike. But when you get to the end of Gilcrest Rail Trail, you have Morgan Neck Road to negotiate with, and I don't feel confident taking my kids there. But maybe one day we can have a safe trail access going down Morgan Neck to connect them. And then you have the reverse true. You connect those communities to downtown and to the shopping centers, because you have two big shopping centers with the grocery stores, and they're almost impossible to walk and bike to. And that's something that we've learned, that Morgan Neck Road and Washington Avenue act like what's called a movable fence, or a moving fence, where there's no actual structure there, but the high-speed cars that are driving past make crossing those two roads very dangerous, and really deters a lot of people from doing so.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'm familiar with what Jim's done for the Chestertown area in terms of mapping out a potential expansion of the trails here. But the challenge, as I see it, is land. Having the land available for people to use. And I guess one of my questions, Elsie has a tremendous amount of land in the state. Is it part of your vision for Elsie to dedicate land for trails?
So being a land trust, that we do preserve land for parks. I mean, we helped the Department of Natural Resources create what's now Bohemia State Park. That was an acquisition that we helped. There are things such as trail easements. It's not something that's widely used in the state of Maryland, but it's something that we have been encouraging the Department of Transportation and Maryland Environmental Trust to utilize and help create a template so that land trusts can be a tool to create that access. Right now, we're really promoting the low-hanging fruit. The rail-banked corridors. There's one from Tuckahoe State Park that goes all the way to Easton. Dorchester County is rail-banking a corridor that goes from Preston up through to Cambridge. We're also looking at utility lines, and there are easements underneath them, and they're open for vehicular access for utility companies. In Tuckahoe State Parks, those areas are also open for trails. But we're not the West. We don't have a lot of public land out here, so eventually that's going to have to cross public land, but that's something that would be a decision by landowners. We will happy to have those conversations with them, to hear from them and hear their concerns. A lot of times you can design trails to help mitigate those concerns, but, that's, again, one step at a time.
Well, you had a follow-up question? If not, we'll go to Charlie.
No, we can go to Charlie.
Charlie?
Thank you. It sounds like you're investigating extending possibly or funding sources to extend the rail trail in Chestertown, maybe the options for the extensions from the end, right? But how about the rail, the non-used rail or unused rail that goes to Wharton? Is that an option? I don't even know.
It is in Chestertown's comp plan. It's an old comp plan from 2015, but it is in the town's comp plan, and I believe it's also in the county's comp plan to extend that. But I don't think we're quite there yet. I think there are other things that need to happen first, and I really want to see the trail at Chestertown expanded. Actually, this kind of answers that question. It goes back to your question. In towns, a lot of our streets are too wide for the communities they serve. Like in my neighborhood, over in Byford Court, or near Byford Court, our streets are 35 feet wide. They're not throughways. Everyone has their own driveway. It's almost like a 4-lane road going through these towns. There's no reason why there can't be a shoulder bike lane. Probably nothing that needs to be separated, but something just to be painted for the time being to help create trail access within communities. The reason why these roads are so wide is because I imagine Chestertown borrowed the designs for these communities when they were built in the 50s and 70s. And these designs were probably created at the state level for more state highway roads. And again, our towns don't have many planners to think about the details in these designs. So probably inappropriate designs were applied, 2 or 3 generations ago. Because when you have such wide roads, it invites people to speed. And I've seen people driving through our community at 40 miles an hour out when I'm trying to walk with my kids and my dog in a place that has no sidewalks. And it's very dangerous and it's very discouraging when we want to be able to get out and walk, but it's not very safe to do so. So let's think about how we can repurpose some of that wasted road space that the town still has to pay to resurface. That's not cheap. I know that Chestertown and pretty much every other local government in the state of Maryland use American Rescue Plan funds to resurface their roads, which seems like a lot to me when you're using once-in-a-generation emergency federal pandemic funding just to resurface your roads. So how can we make that more sustainable?
Final questions?
So you mentioned economic gardening, and I
Yes.
know that you study a lot about the where you can generate the most income per acre, or whatever term you use to measure it. Can you just talk a little bit about the benefits of economic gardening versus, say, bringing in a big
Yes.
development?
So economic gardening, it's more about creating situations in town, in your communities, that really spur economic growth from within to provide the education, the training, the connections to retired individuals who ran a business, who have the knowledge on how to start and operate a business, and connect them with people who are just getting started. Or to find a way that small shop in town who wants to grow and expand, that they can grow and expand and add another 5, 10 employees. And we think that trails can help create that access. If you look at downtown Chestertown especially, each parking stall probably just serves 1 car and 1 individual. But if Chestertown were to help promote more biking and walking downtown, then that 1 parking stall can be turned into a bike parking stall that can fit 10 bikes. So already you've increased the amount of people who can reach your downtown by a factor of 10. Not to say you should replace every parking stall downtown, but there will be probably some pilot projects you can test out to see what's the proper amount of bike parking downtown. Like, I love riding my bike downtown, but there's not that many places to park your bike, and you're just hitching it to a post on the sidewalk, which is kind of clunky and clumsy. But we're doing research at ESLC to show what is the return on investment for local governments, and it looks at property taxes paid versus, or services paid through local government versus property taxes received. And that creates a return on investment. And we see that investments like downtown Chestertown, Rock Hall, Millington, Galena, these historic cores have the highest return on investment. And while shopping centers like Kent Plaza and Washington Square have some of the lowest. And it's just a factor of land use, because you have huge swaths of parking lots and that don't pay property taxes. So how can we take that data and apply that to our built environment to get more return on investment for what we already have? We also see that as a great way to help conserve land by redeveloping what we already have to get more value from it.
Anybody needs additional or has additional questions or follow-up, Jamie's got Owen's contact information. But Owen Bailey, thanks for coming in, sharing these contacts with you. Good luck to you.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Debbie Bowden, Principal of Invista LLC, Incumbent Worker Training Fund.
Yes.
I've never heard of these things.
Ah,
Help me.
okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me chat with you today. Yes, my name is Debbie Bowden. I am principal of Invistra. It's a relatively new consulting firm that I started in January. And I've been contracted by the Upper Shore Workforce Investment Board to help administer the Incumbent Worker Training Grant. And so I'm here today to ask you to help me get the word out that the funds are available to Kent County businesses. We also have funding in Queen Anne's County and Dorchester County that can help with training of employees who are already established. Just quickly, my background, I worked with the Maryland Department of Commerce for a couple years, and then I was an economic development director for Eastern Shore County, and now I've moved into the world of consulting like any good government employee would do. And in my time in economic development, I always heard, do you have any training grants? Do you have any training grants? Especially from companies that are smaller scale, that are outside of some of the purviews of economic development from a federal and state level. So this funding is available through the Rural Maryland Economic Development Fund. It's helping Kent County through the Upper Shore Regional Council. And so that's all of the setup. That's all of the bureaucracy, if you will. Really what I've come before you today, again, is to let you know about the program. It is a grant that I don't think there's ever been an easier grant for a business to apply to. It is available for small companies. It's really designed to help those smaller companies. It's available for restaurants, for hair salons. It's available for companies that typically don't think of, oh, I want to go out and get a government grant to help with training, but I need my folks to have this certification. I need my folks to have Safe Serve, for example, or TIPS training in the food service business. For landscape companies, they need their pesticide certifications. So again, it's just an awareness opportunity today to come before you, let you know that I'm going to be in the community talking about this. In fact, tonight, after this, I'm going to go over and talk to Chestertown Main Street and let them know about it. Next week, I'm going to be talking to Rock Hall and their Economic Commission. And again, it's just, I'm not asking for anybody to do the work that I've been contracted to do, but there's really this, it's a once in a generation type of opportunity for businesses to get some funding to help offset their training dollars. I'm happy that the executive director of the Upper Shore Workforce Investment Board, Mr. Dan Schneckenberger, came up today. And so if you have any questions for me or any questions for him, we're happy to answer. But if you know of any business in your being out in the neighborhoods, if you being out in the communities in Chestertown, Rock Hall, Galena, anywhere in the county, and you've heard folks say, gosh, I've got to get my people trained. I really need to. Twofold, we know that there's access to training, right? And that is something that a lot of businesses are having issues with. But if we can help out with the grant, we're more than happy to. It's $5,000 per business, $1,500 per employee. And it's training that can result in some kind of certificate. So if you're an accounting firm, By the way, I'm planning on reaching out to accounting firms after April 15th. If you're an accounting firm that wants to have your folks get additional professional credentials, or you have an administrative assistant that needs to learn more about QuickBooks or anything like that, that's what this is meant to do. I also have some urgency. So the funding, the Rural Maryland Economic Development Fund, those funds must be dispersed by November 30th of this year. So there's some excitement in this, in that, if there's a business out there that's been thinking about having this training and just needs to have a little bit of support through this grant, hopefully the fact that November 30th, the money's probably not going to be there anymore, that can help them make a determination. So, again, happy to entertain any questions or have Dan entertain any questions.
I do just want to share, so the program has been pushed out in the Economic Development newsletter. And also we have it's on our website. I believe
It's on the
that
grants page, yeah, I just.
Katie has demonstrated that as well. So the information has been shared in the community, and we continue to share it, push it out on social media, things like that, to make other businesses aware. But yeah, all the help we can get to make people aware of the program.
See a couple of commission members leaning toward their microphones. Nancy has a question. Let me have Judy Crowe ask the first question.
Oh, I was just busy taking notes because we have a small business that is often in need of training. We have a winery and a service area retail tasting room. And I was just listening very closely about that.
Okay, so I have some flyers that I'd happy to leave, if that's okay, Jamie? Okay, yeah. And if I could just, so Jamie and her team have been great, and from their awareness campaigns in the newsletter and on the website, we've already only been doing this for about a month, we've already had 3 people interested. So there's exposure for Kent County economic and tourism development in the community, so thank you for that.
In the $5,000 range, how many grants can you make per county or in total?
Oh, so it's about 13 for Kent County, 13 at the cap, yeah.
Okay.
But you don't have to do the cap, that's the max. You can do, you could do a small grant for like 1 employee?
That's correct.
And is there, are you the point of contact for people who want to apply?
I am, yep.
Now, do the applicants need to know where they want to go for training, or can you help them with that if they are unfamiliar with training resources that meet their needs?
So in serving the WIB, I don't have a list of training, but just in my experience and in the knowledge that I have, if I don't know, I could lead them to the Economic Development Office or to Nancy, or, I probably could help them out, yeah.
Would there be a community college program or some other private training institution that could supply the training to recipients?
Absolutely, yep. And I would just help facilitate those conversations, yeah.
So the money has to be spent by the 30th or just approved by the November 30th?
So the language in the agreement between the state of Maryland and the holders of that money, in which this case for Kent County is the Upper Shore Regional Council, it has to be dispersed by November 30th.
Now, are you dispersing to the business, or are you dispersing to the training provider?
It's a reimbursement. So the business will pay for the training and then submit it. And in the case of Kent County, it comes through the Upper Shore Workforce Investment Board, and then it has a nexus with Chesapeake College. The funds come through the college. But that's just a professional business arrangement. The training can be from any place.
Are there other eligibility criteria for businesses? Or is it wide open?
It's fairly wide open. Again, the relevant criteria would be, it has to be training that turns into some kind of certificate or certification. We want to show that there's an opportunity for the employee who's received the training to have some career, some benefit to their career. The 5,000, we're not providing training to any kind of jurisdictional government, so the county government or a town government cannot apply. It can go to nonprofits and the small businesses, and we're leaning towards those businesses that typically have opportunities for training grants all the time, which are typically your larger businesses in manufacturing or tech. Those we'd have to take on a case-by-case basis.
Nancy LaJoyce, you had a comment?
Just a couple of questions. Deb, you said small business. I think you might have answered this for me. You know, I was thinking Dixon Valve is a large business, but I know that definition of small business varies quite a bit. Are you going by SBA guidelines or just gut feel?
Oh, no, not gut feel. So in this case, it's companies that are less than 50
Oh,
employees,
okay.
yeah.
That helps. Okay, good. And is this a match? Is there a
Nope.
required match?
No match.
Okay. And it's a reimbursement. Does the training have to be approved first? Then it's conducted and then they receive reimbursement?
That's correct.
Okay, so it can't be, oh, we trained an employee in January, here's my receipt. They have to have applied for future training.
Correct. Yep,
Okay.
that's correct.
Can we, in my world, the definition of double dipping is, do you know if there's any restrictions on your program where they could apply for your grant money and then apply perhaps for a grant that Commerce or DHCD offers? I'm not aware of any restrictions on my end.
I'll have to defer to Dan on that. I don't think so, but, no.
We're certainly not aware of any dual applications where, are you assuming a company would be reimbursed twice for the same training? Or-
Well, let's say it's a $10,000 training and they apply for the $5,000 from you and $5,000 from another.
That would be fine with us.
Yep.
Our criteria.
So it could be used as a match to somebody else's grant.
Okay,
That's fine.
good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dan, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us and supporting Debbie. Any comments from above?
No, other than we did receive this funding. It is a very unique pot. We applied for it. It's kind of being administered through the Department of Commerce from a reporting standpoint, but, you know, we'd love to, by the end of this, have 14 or 15 Kent County companies take advantage of it. Really, the premise of it is hitting the small businesses. You have a lot of small businesses in Kent County that do not have training budgets, but have training needs. And potentially, they could go to the Department of Labor, and they could do this, and you know, a 20-page application for something. Ours is basically a one-page application. We review it, we see where the benefit is to that company, we approve it, we schedule the training. Once we get the credential, because we're in the credential business, then we reimburse that business. And the good news about Kent County is we have the funding in-house, so it's much easier. In Dorchester, it has to go through the county government to be reimbursed. So we've eliminated a whole bureaucracy layer to help a business get reimbursed quicker.
We're all scurrying to get this money spent by October 30th. On November 1st, is there another pot of gold?
I don't always like to say, like, hey, wow, what a successful program. How can we continue to pack on these stuff? So we'll not make any promises, but my eyes and ears are always wide.
Work in progress. Questions from other commission members? It's a great program, Debbie.
Thank you. I'm
Final
approved.
question I have is, if for some reason Kent County doesn't deploy all the money allocated toward us, is there a point at which it goes to some other county?
Well, I'm sure Dan will answer that, but I have to say, then that means I have failed as a consultant, so that won't happen. My reputation, Dan, did you?
Love that answer.
Well, no, it's a good question. Nobody really knows what the future holds. If we spend you know, through the Upper Shore Regional Council, we've been allotted 65,000 each for Queen Anne's County and Kent County. So if we spend 62,000 in Kent and that's where we're gonna end up, I don't know that that grant money will be extended. It could be, or that it just goes back to the Department of Commerce for whatever means that they deem necessary.
Goes to Debbie's bonus. Debbie, thank you. Again, we have your contact information. Jamie and her team are already disseminating the information. If you see another opportunity that we're not addressing, let us know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Commissioners.
And we're not against stealing good ideas from neighboring counties.
Okay,
Thank you all.
thank you.
Time for staff reports. Katie?
All right, well, I'm going to use that as a segue maybe not, maybe I didn't go. So this is a screenshot of our February newsletter, and the Incumbent Workforce Training Fund was actually our main content piece. So I just want to encourage anybody who is not signed up for this, please sign up for our newsletter. Also, I want to add that down at the bottom of every newsletter, we have some sub-content pieces. And it's always a different focus. The one that went out this month actually includes a couple other funding opportunities, the Business Boost Program, and then also the a telework funding program. It's a grant, correct?
It is a grant.
That the state of Maryland is also putting out. So everybody should be, I think we added everybody to our list for the newsletter, but if you aren't getting it, please let us know and we'll make sure that you get that. And I also encourage everyone to sign up for Nancy's newsletter as well. We actually get a lot of content from Nancy when it comes to funding and things like that. So if you're interested, I think all you need to do is shoot Nancy an email and she'll add you to her list. And she sends that out Mondays and Thursdays. Definitely very valuable. And then, just another reminder. Oops. I know Debbie left some flyers, but just in case anybody needs to access that information, we have it on our grants page. And the handout that she brought can also be found here as well if anybody needs that electronically. So, the two updates that I wanted to share today was the micro ag grant closed on the 15th. We had a total of 13 applications. We already had our first kickoff meeting with our judging panel. And so everybody is going to be working on judging all of their applications and scoring them. We're going to reconvene the first week of April to discuss the applications and then hope to have all the winners announced by the end of April. And then the other item is the Upper Shore Start One Up Roadshow. I know I mentioned it last month. We've been actively collecting, I guess, applications, you can call them, for people who are interested in pitching.
Just got an email, they've had 7 people apply to pitch and like 14 people sign up to attend.
That's great.
We have about 8 vendors, we'll have 2 panels, and the Start One Up Maryland bus will be there. So some of the pitchers will be able to record a pitch video that they can use to launch their business. And there is prize money. First place is $4,000 and second place is
Runner-up is $1,500, correct. And it's open to the public too. The event is on April 9th at 2:30 at Washington College. Anybody who wants to attend, please attend. And then the deadline for people interested in a chance to pitch is this Friday, the 15th. So that's all.
First time you've done that, or how?
We did it once back in 2016 or 2017, I think it was 2017, and one of the panels is like, where are they now? So Scott Budden, Tyler Abbott, and I'm trying to think, Liza Getz. They pitched back in 2016, 2017, so they're coming back to give an update on what they're doing now. So it's the second time we've done it in time I've been here.
Other questions of Katie?
All right, thank you. Shalyn, do you want your ads first?
Shalyn?
Please. And the other ones right there.
Hello. A couple of things I wanted to share. Our office recently purchased a group of photos from JP Henry. So if you look on the screen, I just want to share where we have recently just used 2 of those photos. This one is an ad for Blue Ridge Outdoors, and the theme for the monthly edition was Get Outdoors and Play. So the photo of, I think it's Airy Hill Road, right, Jamie? Is the larger photo, and then the other JP Henry photo is the small photo in the top right. That's a group of people that are playing at Ferry Park Beach on the jetty that JP took. And then the other one is, this is an ad that we placed, a full-page ad in Marine Life. So that was a photo in the front of Island Girl, which was Suzanne Einstein's charter boat. And then the other thing was recently, about a month ago, Rose attended a Kent Museums meeting, and she got word of a gentleman named Connor Sabreni that was coming to the county, and he wanted to start a small travel series in Maryland focused on museums. So our office reached out to him, and from there it kind of turned into a travel series on Kent County. He had never done this before. He has his own videography company called CPAS Studios in Anne Arundel County. So he came here last week, and he was here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
I think it rained the entire time.
It rained Tuesday and Wednesday, all day. He stayed at the Inn at Mitchell House in Tallchester. And if you'll indulge me, I just want to give real quick the list of the places that we visited, that he filmed, that he is going to feature in this, what now he thinks is going to be an hour-long documentary at this point. We went to Hebe Fountain, so Fountain Park, Memorial Park in Chestertown, Evergreen Bread Company, the Schooner Sultana, Echo Hill Outdoor School, the historic boats that are not parked, by the Sultana, Chestertown Marina, Modern Stone Age Kitchen, Houston's Dockside Emporium, Jerry Moe's, Play It Again Sam's, Bespoke Chocolate, the Chestertown Visitor Center. While in town, we also looked at the public art statues that have been placed. We saw Sentinel, Ball and Red Arches, Taking the Hill. We went to St. Paul's Church, specifically the Tallulah Bankhead grave that's out at St. Paul's, the Battle of Cauxfield site, Kent Museum, Knox Folly, Turner's Creek, the Bordley Historical Center, Sumner Hall, Piney Grove, which is a bed and breakfast out in Quaker Neck. That was Tuesday in the rain. Wednesday, in worse rain, we went to Eastern Neck Island Wildlife Refuge, Haven Harbor Marina, which is the one on Route 20. We also went to Haven Harbor South. We toured the Waterman's Museum there, the Manor House, and the cottages that they rent out for short-term rentals. Osprey Marina and Inn, the village shops that are on Main Street, Fresh Start Food and Garden, Java Rock, Rock City Cafe, Tallchester Marina, and then we ended that day at Bluebird, which is always a good idea. Then on Thursday, when it was beautiful weather, we went to Fat Daddy's here in Chestertown for breakfast, the African American Schoolhouse in Wharton, Molly's, Crow Vineyard, Miss Judy Crow hosted us out there, St. Dennis Church in Galena, the Catholic church that's in town, Twinnies, the Heffa's Mexican Grill, Cross Street Food and Garden, Massey Air Museum, Cypress Branch State Park, Rob Veneri Park, and then La Cascada Restaurant in Millington. Connor was supposed to head home that day, and instead he decided to take an extra day, spend another night at the Inn at Mitchell House, and spent all day Friday shooting I don't even know what in Chestertown, and then ended up back at Crow Vineyard, where he had dinner, and Miss Crow had guest chef Robbie Jester there for an event, so Connor was able to take part in that. So we're still in the very early stages of this. He said this video is going to take a lot longer than he initially thought, but he's going to keep us posted on all of the progress, so we'll be sharing that as soon as it comes to fruition. And that's all I have.
So for any agribusiness people who need to break a drought, look for the tourism calendar.
Yes. The last time I filmed with WBOC for Delmarva Life, it poured the entire time. So I have another one coming up in April, and I'm sure it's going to rain the whole time.
Are you aware of the log canoe race that starts at Betterton and goes up the South Fresh into Turner's Creek?
No.
Wayne Gilchrist, I think, has his fingerprints on that. And I don't know if that's much of a spectator's sport, unless you're at Turner's Creek when they're all coming in, but could be a fun event.
When is that? Do you know? Like a month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More
Okay.
than that.
Okay.
I'll have Wayne call you.
Okay, that's fine. I was with Wayne this morning at a meeting, so he didn't mention that, but I'll catch him and I'll ask him.
Questions of Shallon?
Thank you.
Good job, thank you. Jamie?
So quickly, I have two things in front of you. I met with Lara Laura Wilson. She's the acting executive director for University of Maryland Shore Medical Center here in Chestertown. And she shared a one-page on the services currently offered here in Chestertown through the university. And I know that they'll also be coming in to give the commissioners an update. Probably will mostly be about the new facility off of 50 sometime in the future. So when I get notification of that, I will let you guys know about that as well. And then the second thing, this is a rack card that you have in front of you. This was part of Rebuilding Together, was doing an initiative to survey the condition of housing within the community for the work that they're doing. It was sponsored by the Kent County Health Department. Chestertown Rotary Club did a grant, and then we were able to secure the last piece of funding through the Upper Shore Regional Council and money that they had set aside for housing for Kent County. They're working with Washington College GIS to do this. So you'll see rack cards. You might have already gotten one in a postcard in the mail. I know for the Chestertown Rotary, I get their mail, and it was in the P.O. box there last week. So you might start seeing them show up in your mailbox now. I see some heads shaking. So thank you. That's the only updates I have.
So I'm just confused about all this University of Maryland medical stuff. I can't keep track. Is this the one over by Philosopher's Terrace?
Actually, no, this is the 100 High Street. So the one on Philosopher's Terrace is now Chop Tank Community Health.
Oh, okay.
So all of the doctors that were in there have officially moved to the 100 Brown Street location. So Dr. DeLeon, who was there, he's now at the hospital. So this is all at Brown Street at the main hospital center.
So the Chop Tank one moved then?
Chop Tank moved into where
Okay,
University was. Yeah, that's where they have their facility now.
Because I heard really good things about the Chop Tank facility when they were open.
And they're open
Yeah, so
now, and they're
that's good.
expanding their services. They currently have medical, and they're looking into mental health, dentistry, and maybe those are the only two. But yeah, so they'll be expanding their services here in Kent County as well.
They offer those other services at their other locations.
Yes. Yes.
Any other questions for Jamie? Good work for you and your team, Jamie. Congratulations. It's been a good month. Busy. We'll move into old business or unfinished business. And before we go into the agenda item, I'd like to call on Paula Reeder. There was an Economic Development Day statewide in Annapolis on February 15th, and Paula was there taking copious notes.
I wish. Jamie, Dick, and I went to Annapolis for the meeting, which was sponsored by the Maryland Economic Development Association, and it was an opportunity to get together with other economic development professionals from around the state to listen to several speakers who were engaged to report on the governor's legislative agenda for this year. As you might imagine, housing and workforce development were very high on his agenda. There was another report from two gentlemen who have been doing a survey of economic development activity in the state, who reported that, interestingly, that for every dollar spent on economic development, there's a return of $9.17. And that's for the whole state, which I thought was pretty impressive. And more than that, do you have anything
It's an
further?
annual event held by MEDA, well-attended.
Right.
And there
And
is,
Dick knows everybody.
I owe them all money. There's an opportunity in the day's agenda to go to the State House or the Senate and House office buildings and meet with our legislators. And we did capture Jay Jacobs and suggest to him that John Price's letter about goose hunting on Sunday is solid. We don't want to do it in Kent County. So you can do a little bit of lobbying as well as refreshing friendships. Okay. ED Strategic Plan updates. I'm gonna give it right back to Jamie.
Okay. So, first I want to thank the commission members, for the discussion about the progress of the strategic plan, the discussion we had at the February meeting. The scorecard has been talked about for a period of time, and the team pulled together over the past month the presentation we're going to give today. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Rose, Shallon, Katie, for just taking the initiative and honestly making me stop putting out fires and get it done. So, thank you. So the conversation actually aligned perfectly with something that Shelley requested of senior staff department heads to do. And so it was a request for a review of 2023 and goals for 2024. So you have that memo in your folder. I'm sharing it with you because I want you to hold me accountable. I want you to hold our department accountable. So as uncomfortable as it may be sometimes, I really do want to be held accountable for what we say we're going to do. So we're going to discuss future updates at the end of the presentation, but today we're going to share the strategic plan scorecard for 22 and 23, and then what we've provided you with is slides that have notes in your folder, so you can make any notes of any questions you have. And, just depending on timing, we may ask that you just email those, and then we'll address those at the April meeting, because we did have 2 speakers today, and the presentation is a little lengthy just because it's 2 years of information. So we'll see how time goes. But just a couple of quick notes about the Economic and Tourism Development Strategic Plan. It's not a requirement that we did this or do this. There was a 2013 and a 2017 plan for economic development, and then currently we have the 2022 strategic plan for economic and tourism development with the departments merging. The county commissioners did adopt the 2022 plan by resolution. And in the plan, we have identified 5 goals, which you see at the top of every agenda. You see on the back of your name tents, and hopefully you're very familiar with them. So those are the 5 goals that were identified, and then from there were strategies to support each goal and objectives. And the objectives are where the measurables come from. And then I'll also share, for anyone who wants to dig deeper, on kentcounty.com/economic development is where you'll find all the supporting documents that led up to the strategic plan. So there was a lot more involved than just what actually got printed in the end. Lots of public meetings, lots of SWOT analysis, things of that went into the plan. So, and the previous plans are on there as well. So the first goal, cultivate business retention, expansion, and attraction. And then there's a strategy and an objective for each one. The objectives are the measurables, so that's what we're going to share with you today. Hot desk members, we had a goal originally to double the members from year to year. We had 3 in 2021. We had 7 at the end of 2022. And at the end of 2023, we had 12. So we did meet that objective. The goal is to maintain 10 to 12 members. We're not going to double that every year. So there comes a point where you just have to say, I need to maintain, and that's where we are with the Chestertown Hot Desk location.
And is that number, the income equal the revenue, the expenses, or how do you come up with that number as a
I don't know
benchmark?
the answer to that, because in the past, we did not get the revenue. Last year was the first year we got the revenue, and the accounting wasn't the same as it is this year. So I would have to, we're probably right at a break even right now, Judy, if I had to guess. But to get hard numbers, I'd actually have to do the math and everything. But it's only been 2 years, even though Hot Desk Chestertown has existed since 2017. It was a partnership with the Eastern Shore Entrepreneurship Center. It is no longer, and now the county gets the revenues, but that's recent as of the past 2 years. Another one was visit new businesses in Kent County to share the resources through our department. In 2022, we had 21, 2023, we had 19. We did have a objective of a buy local program, and we have that, moved that out now. Oops, sorry about that, guys. We've moved that out to,
2025.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out where I'm at, though. 2025,
It's on the screen.
You see the screen
thank you.
on the slide.
Okay, so, yeah, we've moved that out to 2025, and, but I would say, we haven't lost focus on it, because Katie and I just met with Washington College GIS program, the new director, and one of the staff, and we talked about how could we update the harvest directory. That goes back to Doris Mason with the Upper Shore Regional Council. Is there a way to incorporate updating the harvest directory website to be that buy local program for all 3 counties? So we haven't lost sight of the goal. We're still thinking about it in our day-to-day work. It just has not been accomplished. The next one was the 25 employers, and then BRE visits, business retention expansion visits. So these are businesses that we meet with on a regular basis. We had 9 in 2022 and 34 in 2023. And you'll see this doesn't include like the new businesses, so we'll go through some of that, but those are, and then we do plan on launching an economic development week in October of 2024. As a matter of fact, we archived some stuff that Debbie Bowden did in Caroline County, because we're benchmarking, what are those great ideas? And Debbie did a great job highlighting the businesses in Caroline County when she was the director. So we're going to try to emulate that. Okay. The next one was the monthly newsletter to increase the circulation to 30%. And as you can see, we way exceeded that. It was 104, really 105% the first year. And then in 2023, it was 6.4. Now, I do have to add, we did take out the hard bounces and inactive users were removed. So that kind of messes with your numbers a little bit. But the reason for that is we don't want our customer relation management software to be bogged down with marketing contacts that aren't active on our pages and looking at the materials we're sending out. So we want to make sure it stays fresh and relevant. And we don't want to be paying for sending out newsletters to folks that are not going to engage.
Jamie, what's a hard bounce?
Hard bounce means the email address no longer exists.
Okay.
So we do have a 2024 goal to increase the circulation by 15% over 2023. But, that may be a little aggressive, but we'll see. Then the next, we're still under the original goal, and the last one is to attract businesses. And in 2022, we have placed those ads in those site selection publications. And I will say, it's never just, they're going to call us and tell us it's $5,000 and we're going to give them $5,000. It's a negotiation. Okay, what else can we get for that $5,000? Can we get listed in your business directory? Can we get listed on your website? Are you taking this publication to a trade show? Can we do editorial about Kent County? And that's how we try to spend the money, rather than just doing just one print ad. Attract 2 major businesses in Kent County. So this is harder than most people think, because not all businesses require a business license. And some don't come through our office at all. We don't know about them until one of us sees it on social media. And then we're texting each other at night, hey, did you see this? And then we'll go out, and visit the business and introduce ourselves. But, we had 3 in 2022 and 1 in 2023 that we were able to identify. I know there's more out there, but it's just hard to identify who they are. And then the small businesses, yes.
One thing I want to note, because I've participated, Jamie makes a point of going to the openings for the businesses. And we're all invited to come. And I've gone on several of those visits where the people have really expressed a great deal of gratitude when we show up. So I'm going to encourage everybody on this commission to respond affirmatively to Jamie's emails that say, oh, by the way, so-and-so is opening up, let's go.
Yeah, it does mean so much for them, for folks to show up and thank them for, starting a business in the community. Starting a business is not for the faint of heart for you guys that have businesses, It's a lot of work. And, for somebody to take that on, we need to show our appreciation.
And there's other opportunities like ribbon cuttings for an expansion, anniversaries. And
Absolutely.
we should all have a presence. We don't want all 7 of us showing up to one event. But I think we can manage that by communicating with Jamie. I'm available, do you need me?
Thank you.
So I'd like to see a little context with this measurement. So
Okay,
like we have new
so-
businesses, but what about the ones that left us? And do you ever get an exit interview with them about why they might have left or?
We do talk to them. We don't do a formal exit interview. But I will also share that, so in your packet is the data behind.
Okay.
So there is some data, not necessarily on businesses that have closed, Judy, because I do feel like sometimes it's a bit of a revolving door. We get a new business, but another one shuts down. So you kind of have that kind of ebb and flow as well. But there are some numbers in there as exactly who we visited, what did we visit it for. There's more details in your folder that was shared with you that, you guys can digest at a later time. But, and again, please send us any questions.
And Judy, I can say from my experience that there are businesses that just close down for business
Sure,
reasons.
I understand that.
But there are businesses who leave that may not necessarily be honest about why they're leaving.
Well, that's fine,
No
but-
reason not to contact them.
Right, you can just say, if they said a bigger space, then
Yeah.
or, the parking was horrible, then or, you can have some general idea of what we might do to keep them or attract the next one. But I think the net is very important because, you have a revolving door through one spot, you don't get a net gain in our growth.
It's hard to measure.
I understand.
But you're right, and that is what you're looking for. And I'll just give an example, but when we found out the Prickly Pickle was leaving, I think we all reached out, we all reached out, is there anything we could do to get you to stay? And we tried to do everything we could, but they were at the point that they were ready to go. I know that the mayor of Galena shared that, because I asked a question about a business there, and he's like, nope, they just shut their doors. We went there one day and they were gone. So, and there were 2 of them. So, we try
Oh, I
when we
understand
can.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's always good to find out what the issues were. So the next goal is advocate for workforce development and education. And I'm going to say that this has gotten a lot more complicated with the blueprint. And, you've got the college working on this, you got the WIB working on it, you got the public school system working on it, you got economic developers working on it. Not that we all don't need to work on it, I get it, but it's a lot harder to track and measure who's doing what, and then to see where it's really going. So you'll see that in some of these numbers. But the first thing was for staff to make sure that we're present at those American Job Center meetings to share information about workforce needs, from the business perspective, from the community perspective, and then, of course, from the economic development perspective. We did, in 2022, we attended 3. In 2024, we did get to all of them. Increase internships by 5 employees. That focus was really on youth apprenticeship, as Dan shared in a previous meeting, and we'll share in another slide here. This is about 1 new business to the apprenticeship program annually. The State Department of Labor is in the process of restructuring. So they used to have apprenticeship navigators and then business specialists. And now they are combining those roles. I just spoke to someone less than a week ago whose role is changing as a result of that. So don't know what that's going to look like. But the current youth apprenticeships you have listed there, and like I said, again, they were shared in a previous meeting with the update from Dan. So workforce development opportunities, and this was about for employers and assist with recruitment. So here's the things that we've done. It's not really a measurement, but we're definitely meeting that goal. We promote workforce training grants to businesses personally when we meet with them. We do it in the economic development newsletter, and then we periodically post those opportunities on social media as well. And then promoting job fairs and job postings weekly on economic development social media. Just on Facebook, we have 7,293 followers. So, and those job postings get shared and shared and shared. So the job postings really get a lot of eyes on them. So I do believe that is a benefit to the community. The survey about the business needs, we're really going to have to look at this and see if there is really a need to do this based on, the current partners and their focus on workforce development. Like I said, the landscape's just changing so quickly there. I don't know that we need to do that. So we're going to have to really look at that one. The next objective was to have the education sector represented on the commission. Everyone knows that Tracy Williams was our commission member in 2022 to 2023. And thank Dan for being the liaison. He attends regularly and shares updates, and that is the kind of feedback exactly that we need, so that we know, what's going on in the school system, and we can promote the great things that are happening out there, or that are happening at the school system. And to schedule an annual update with administration. Dr. Couch was here in September of 22 and then again in December of 23. So we have been able to meet that. Marketing and communication plan, that is actually done, and we complete that during the annual budget request cycle. So Shalyn does it for the tourism side, Katie does it for the economic development side, and they tell me we go over where they're going to spend their money. Not saying that that doesn't change, because opportunities come up for back covers or front covers or editorial or a video, so there might be things that we shift around, but they have a good idea of where they're going to spend their money for for the next fiscal year. So we've already submitted the budget request, and then they update that throughout the year as they go on and if they make different decisions. In-house resources, we've all been trained on Canva, HubSpot. We create print ads, digital ads. We do everything in-house. Social media assets, the visitor's guide's even been done in-house, thanks to Katie's expertise there. Rack cards, anything like that, we've been able to develop in-house. Contact us page, we have not completed that. We did put a June 2024 date on that, and then I'll do the other one, children's activity page of December 2025. We put dates on there, but also I want to share that we are in the process as a county of changing our website. So we may not be in a hurry to get that done, because we're currently going through all the pages that we currently have, and economic and tourism development literally have thousands. So we need to go through and get rid of the ones that aren't as useful, so that we're not taking, we're not moving out of a house that we lived in for 45 years and taking all the junk with us. So that's what we're trying to go through now and decide what really needs to go over to the new website to make it clean, easier to use, that type of thing. And Katie's done a great job working with IT on that.
And so other counties I've noticed, and we talked about this, and I didn't really understand it when you told me the last time. When other websites like Talbot County has a biking page, for example, and they have maps and pictures, and you're telling me that we won't be able to do that with this new format even?
No,
I
we'll be
never
able
said
to
that.
do that
Oh,
stuff,
okay.
But to move everything over, it'll be easier to consolidate the stuff that we absolutely know that we want to keep on the website, to get that over there, because as Jamie mentioned, there's thousands of pages, and it's a lot of work. So once we have it set up and in place, yes, we can add pages and content and stuff like that.
And does it have to all be in the same format, or can you have more pictures and more, life to the page?
Yes, that's
That's coming?
one of the goals of
Okay,
the
good.
new website, yes.
And then we are on the goal of, is this the first one on this one? continue to promote Kent County as a desirable place to live. Yeah, I'm on the right one. I think I got it. Thank you, Keith Allen. Visitor spending. So our goal was to increase it by 2%. So you kind of see what happened there. The blue bars are the dollar value of, and it's 72 million for 2022. So you can see how the previous years compare. But then the percentage is in the orange. So from 2021 to 2022, we did actually increase 5.6%. So we are putting in average growth in there for at least 2% year over year. So, don't need to tell you guys what happened in 2019, 2020. I'm not even gonna say it. The next one was to encourage organizations to list their events on the county website. The county website does feed down to Chestertown's website as well for events. So it's important that the events are placed there. So to put some context to it, in 2022, we had 42 event manager accounts requested. And in 2023, we had 53. So people are reaching out to have their events listed. We are putting them on there. There was a user-friendly form designed, so to request an events manager account. And we encourage organizations, business individuals to request an account and submit their events to the county calendar. We always tell people this is for tourism-related events. Now, doesn't mean that I can't go to one because I'm a local tourist, but I wouldn't put on there a blood drive, for example. We'll push that out on our social media page, but that's not what needs to go on the events calendar. So events is something something for somebody to go and do and see in Kent County. Event awareness, still talking about that, but we had a goal of, or a strategy to, or some objectives, actually, to reach a broader audience than just the locals. So we are posting annual events on these different sites: Maryland Office of Tourism, Recreation News, Co-op Living, County Lines, Maryland Tourism Coalition, and Guest Quest. And if there's others out there, you know, we're happy to do that as well. And then we're promoting the events on social media as well. And we do have a part-time social media specialist who is scheduling daily posts. And on the tourism side, we have 5,655 Facebook followers. Now, that's just Facebook followers. We also do Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. But Facebook is where we get most of the interactions. So we just shared those numbers. The next one was the economic development newsletter, or this is the tourism newsletter.
You already did economic development.
Okay, I already did economic development. This is the tourism newsletter. So the tourism newsletter, you can see our goal was to increase it by 30%. It was 126% for the first year. So we're starting from scratch, so yeah, that was pretty good. The second year, it was 55%, and we still have a goal to increase it again from in 2024 by 35%.
So
And again,
your
we did have
percentages
some-
are from the base year or year over year?
Year over year.
Year over year. Yep. And again, we did remove the inactive users for reasons stated prior. This one was facilitate the delivery of the visitor's guide, partner guides, maps, you know, in the county and throughout the state. We do this on a continual basis when requested, and proactively, we reach out to them twice a year to say, do you need visitor's guides? And then we either mail them to them, depending on where they are, or we will deliver them. Within the county, we try to deliver as much as possible. Business owners are busy running their business, and they can't always get out to stop by and pick up visitor's guides. They might be able to if they're running in town for something, but if not, we'll gladly take them to them. We do have a county car now, which is great, so we can just jump in the car and go deliver them, and pretty easily. So, pretty proud of that. We reach out to 47 different visitor centers across the state. Okay, this one is a little bit more difficult to measure. So, support the enhancement of current and future infrastructure. It's challenging because the commission members and the staff, we have limited control here. So therefore, the objectives and the measurements are more challenging. But some of the ways that we engage is by reviewing the Technical Advisory Committee agenda and minutes when they come out, the Planning Commission meeting agenda and minutes, attending meetings, engaging with developers, following the land use ordinance update. So those are ways that we try to stay engaged and work on that. This first strategy relates to the Housing and Transportation Coordinator. That position was not funded in 2024. We are requesting that position to be funded in '25. So we'll see where that goes through the whole budget process. But we have definitely identified the need to, and as you can see, in 2022, just for transportation and housing, there were 20 meetings, and then in 2023, 11. And that is just what we were able to attend with everything else. There's a lot more going on, and that's why we think it's important to get a person dedicated to housing and transportation. Schedule an annual real estate presentation. We've met that objective. Cindy presented in February of 2022 and then in March of 2023. And this one, it's just ongoing. The objectives achieved, and it's ongoing. The commercial property search page is being updated continuously as we get information from real estate agents, or we get notice that something's sold or something's on the market. So we're working with the towns to increase collaboration and communication regarding vacant commercial spaces. So give us a list of what you've got, and then we work with them to get that listed on the site. So the next one, it's achieved, and the efforts are still ongoing. That's not something that's going to be completed. Partnerships. So we talked about the different partnerships, establishing and strengthening partnerships. This one particularly had to do with the mayor and council. In 2022, we actually had 3 of the towns come to an Economic and Tourism Development Commission meeting and give an update. So you see who attended there. In 2023, we did not, but we do regularly participate with COG meetings. So it's all of the towns and the county that are on those meetings to share information. And the 2024 goal, our goal is to start reaching out in July after the budget is struck and try to have those meetings between July and December with each town. And that's for me to go to each town and present what economic and tourism development's doing in the county. Business association meetings, you can see 31 and 25. This is where the 99 and 104. So we attend a lot of meetings, And this is in your packet, and it tells you the meetings that we're attending. Now, I will say that some of this is, Shallon was new as the tourism manager last year. So her being able to attend these meetings and figure out where is my time best spent, because you can't attend all the meetings. So where is the biggest bang for the buck that she's going to get the most out of it to benefit Kent County? So we're still evaluating some of those as we go through. And then the last slide is about the MEDA meetings on the economic development side. That's Katie and I, 5 and 12. And then the next one is the Office of Tourism Development and the Maryland Destination Marketing Organization meetings. And that would be Shallon and I. And what we try to do is we back each other up. One of us goes to the economic development meetings. If one of us can't go, we make sure the other person's there. Same thing with Shallon. If she's unable to attend a tourism meeting, one of the ones we know we need to be at, where we know we need to be at the table, then we split it. With the housing and transportation, what we've done with that, because we realized how many meetings there really were. If I couldn't attend and it was housing related, Katie went to the meeting. And if it was transportation related, Shallon went to the meeting, just so we could keep each other informed on what was going on. And then I will shout out to Rose as well. She's been our liaison for the museum's meetings. That's a whole nother set of meetings that someone needs to attend to know what events are going on and to stay in the know. So Rose has taken on that role for the department. So that was a lot, but that's where we are. I think we've, going back and looking at it, we really have accomplished a lot. So, at this point, we're looking for, what do we want to do going forward for updates, so that we stay on top of it and don't do a year or two at one time.
And we don't want this report every one of our meetings, but this is comprehensive. We'll have follow-ups as we go forward, and probably something this in-depth once a year. Judy, you had questions?
No, I just want to thank Jamie for all the work that they all did on this and the current strategic plan. But what's always bothered me, and that's really missing in our vision, is that we don't have a vision for what do we want Kent County to look like. We have the 301 corridor, and we're like takers. Somebody comes in, says this is what we want to do. We jump up and down to make it work or whatever. We don't evaluate how many workers is it going to be? Are those workers going to be, our workforce in Kent County is already tight. We hear people complaining all the time they can't find workers. So do you want to get that kind of development here? Is it a net gain for the county? It's not just about tax dollars. It's like what the future looks like. And so instead of following whatever gets thrown at us or agreeing to whatever gets thrown at us, I really want to have a strategic plan that looks at what do we want to be? Where do we want to focus? Should we be like the innovator with natural resource conservation tourism and really promote that and build that out? I mean, what works best for us? The 55-plus community, do we need another one of those? Can we support another one? Is that where we should be, using our limited amount of industrial space or developable land? And I just think that's missing. I feel like we're a sitting duck waiting for some business to come in and save us rather than saying, let's get another Dixon in. Or how do we find that kind of business versus somebody from South Carolina that wants to take advantage of our cheap land and not be part of the community like you guys are? And I just think that's missing, and it's something to think about. Maybe we need to hire a consultant or an outside force to help us evaluate and come up with ideas. And just be more proactive about what the county has as strengths and how do we monetize and expand that versus doing what every other county has already done and it's on the downside and, let's get a Walmart, but Walmarts are closing. Let's get Dollar Generals. Dollar Generals are closing. Let's get a data center. Data centers use a ton of water and electricity. Would that limit the grid so much that we couldn't do other development? I mean, I think we need to be way more strategic in how we move forward in our development and growth. And I think that's missing. All this stuff here is really good about what we have going and keeping everybody informed and advertising, marketing, but where's that strategic plan, And how do we get there?
Well,
Several of the members were on the commission when the forum was planned, so
I'm not
can
saying
you
that's
answer
not
that?
bad. I'm just saying that piece is missing. And just because it's not here doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. And so I think it's something that we really need to think about and figure out how we can do strategic plan about the future of what we want to come into the county. Because that's not in here.
Yeah, I think your thoughts are great, Judy. Maybe utopian, because I've never seen a perfect business.
saying there is
There's
a
always going to
perfect
be
business.
trade-offs in terms of the job versus the taxes versus the traffic they generate.
But we don't even look at that. We need to have a process to look at that. We need to evaluate that before they come in.
Yeah, but
Because
we're not regulators. We're an advisory
I'm just
commission.
saying, we can evaluate, there's a lot of people who do strategic plans who look at this ahead of time and can tell you generically speaking what's good and what works and what doesn't work and what's out there. And I'm not saying we regulate anything. It could be just enticing something. It could be targeting where we recruit our businesses, or it could be working with local businesses to expand more. I mean, we do some of that, but maybe we need to prioritize. I mean, I'm not the expert on this, I just feel like that is truly missing, and I've been frustrated for the last 8 years as we've seen these projects come and they go to the planning department just approves them, or, well, they just approve everything, but the planning department just approves them, and then they go to the planning commission, and then there's some discussion about that, but there's no real analysis, there's no real evaluation of how that fits into what we want to go in addition to that, how does it all compound? I just think that it's a big void and we're a sitting duck, and I think we could be more proactive and more informed and have more of a plan.
You know, as part of the discussion in the last year, I know a couple of times we talked about those areas, those business types of businesses or maybe, you know, industry sectors or that we were maybe targeting. You know, I know that doesn't address obviously,
No,
everything
right.
we're talking about, but I know we talked about that a little bit, but I don't know how long ago we looked at that. And maybe it's time that we say, I don't know, maybe that was even pre-COVID, I don't know, but maybe we look at it again and say, do we really want healthcare, or do we really, I mean, what really want this, or whatever we said.
And what does healthcare mean? You know,
Right.
where do you drill down on that more specifically to say, and then how do you set up markers and things like that to?
And it might be that vision of what, you know, what, in an ideal Kent County, we would like to have more of this, or more.
I have the advantage of sitting on the planning commission as well as this, and I've been on them for a while. And I can tell you that a lot of thought and energy and attention go to all of those things that you've enumerated, Judy, and I know you haven't had that opportunity to be a part of those conversations
Well,
and
I go to them, I
discussions.
listen to them all the time.
Well, I think we also need to acknowledge that a lot of the plan for this county is shaped and dictated by the comprehensive plan. And that very specifically sets out goals and objectives for this county for a 10-year period. And the planning department is focused on, you know, reviewing, evaluating, and reporting on recommendations to the commissioners who have the ultimate responsibility for making decisions about what gets approved and what doesn't. So I wouldn't say that the planning department approves everything. They go through a very extensive vetting process with all of the projects that come before us. And Jamie, on her side of the aisle, has been very active in identifying prospective business opportunities and industries for us to look at and consider and work on creating plans as appropriate to attract. So there's not a big void here. What we have is we have limited resources, and we have a county that doesn't offer to businesses all of the same amenities and resources that can be found in communities that surround us. So that's part of the challenge, as I see it. I don't think there's a lack of effort or attention or energy on
You're missing my point.
trying to find ways to improve the economic base here.
Yeah, I think you've missed my point. I understand how the planning process works, and I understand what the planning commission does. But I also think what's missing, if you go to like North Carolina, and, you know, there's Asheville, North Carolina, they have a vision for what they want Asheville, North Carolina to look like, you know, and it's more restaurant, it's more thriving, it's more small business, and I know we're all doing that. But we also need to look at how do we want what other businesses do we want? Maybe we just need to address it again, since I wasn't here the last time you went through a list or something. I don't know how you pick a data center versus a distribution center. I mean, I know they're allowed, but what kind do you want? What does that mean? You know, there's different types of data centers. I just think I just think we're missing the boat when somebody comes in with an application and it's yes or no. And maybe you can change a little bit, but basically we don't change that much on it to say we want it to be smaller to fit in our community. Instead, we say, okay, you want it to be bigger, we'll make it bigger. I just think we're missing an opportunity, and it's just something to think about. I appreciate the pushback, and maybe I'm not explaining myself clearly, but I just think we could have a better vision and more appreciation for what Kent County offers that other places don't have versus being maligning about what other places have that we don't have. And I think that's what we need to strengthen, is what we have and how we should best utilize that. I mean, like, I still disagree totally with putting a warehouse out in front of somebody's house, even though that's how it's zoned. You know, to have all that neighborhood being, going to be inundated with all that traffic, which, Commissioner Price has a problem with, but that's not going to, we can't change it now. If that project goes in, we're going to have all that traffic. And I just think we need to be a little more thoughtful in the process and in our vision. And it's just something to think about, do some research, look up what other towns are doing, county and communities, and see if we can't get some ideas and sort of direct the ship instead of just take on what comes at us.
Thank you, Judy. We are moving forward with the strategic plan and have, from Jamie's presentation, we have done an awful lot this year, have a lot more on our plate. And the strategic plan is a 5-year living, evolving document. So
Yeah, if
we
anyone
can
has
count
any
on you to help
questions,
with our vision.
when you have more time to look at it, please email me so I have time to, thoroughly, be prepared to answer. It would be helpful if you have questions as you're looking through the rest of the documents that are in there.
So we have one unannounced thing on the agenda under new business.
Is it Nina? Nina, she had to leave.
Yeah, Nina is gone.
She said she will try again in April.
Okay, we don't want to announce it.
What are we announcing? What are we announcing?
Okay,
No, what are we announcing?
the visitor center.
Oh, yeah, we can share that.
Okay, the visitor center has moved, but it hasn't.
Correct. So Nina, the Main Street organization, is taking over basically the operations of the Kent County Visitor Center. And her office will be moving up there. She was in the town office on the second floor. So we believe that the visitor center will operate as it always has, as a Kent County Visitor Center. And we work very closely with the visitor center. Rose and Shallen are probably there twice a week or so, delivering guides or whatever they may need. They also give us monthly counts of people that come into the visitor center, so that's very helpful. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to hear from Nina how it's going, and maybe that gives her a little time to get some, time in there so that she can share more with us, so we'll invite her back.
Let's put her on the agenda in April for a fuller report on
Will
what it all
do.
means and what her plan is.
Yep, sounds good. Yep.
On the agenda, it's public input time. Debbie, do you have anything else?
I just want to say congratulations. This is a very active, very engaged commission. You've got a great staff, so congratulations on that. I'm very happy. I have a nexus with Kent County. I lived in Queen Anne's County, but for many years, had family here. So, this is not home, but it's my neighbor. And I'm just really tickled to see so much engagement and so much professionalism for economic development for Kent County. So congratulations to everybody for getting that to that point.
I have one announcement.
Paula?
As you may know, we have been through the process of trying to figure out what we're doing with the public schools. And Dan's left, but there are plans that have been approved, and the county is now faced with having to fund the construction of a new middle school. And funds, as you may be aware, are very tight, and the county could use some help. There are 2 bills going through the legislature now. They're companion bills, one in the House and one in the Senate. In the House, it's Bill 0365. In the Senate, it's 0110 that request appropriation to help fund the school construction. And the commissioners are all for it. All of our legislators are all for it. But we need public support to show that the public is in favor of this appropriation. So there is a group called Save Our Schools, SOS, that has put together a form letter and a petition that many of you will get one from me, asking you to sign the form letter, send it on to 5 people or more that you know, and get them to do the same. It's real easy. It takes 2 minutes to put your name on the letter, to push the submit button, and have it go off to every member of the appropriations committees in the House and the Senate. So if you would do that to support the effort, I think that will potentially make a difference.
We could write a letter on behalf of the commission, but what's more important is individual letters from all of us. And other than Facebook, if we've got friends beyond that, ask them to send a copy of the letter too. It's okay if they all seem to say the same thing, as long as they say we're for it.
So if I missed you in the distribution, and I may have because I sent out a bunch of them, let me know and I'll forward a copy to you so that you get it and can make the response easy.
Thanks, Paula.
Commissioner Price, has the commissioners weighed in on the bill as well for support? Okay.
Yes, there's been testimony
Okay.
along the way.
And is do we have a lobbyist that's working on that too? Is that,
We have a lobbyist that is engaged
yeah, good,
in conversation.
yeah.
Commissioner Price, now that you've got the floor.
But I came in on the tail end of the conversation, so I had a phone call, which was a telemarketer. The reason for the bill is to increase the allocation that the state gives our county for school construction. Right now, it's at 50%, and we're hoping to increase the state's level of funding, which will help, obviously, us be able to fund the project. You know, we got a 70-year-old school. It's time. It's time. But unless we get some help, it's going to be very, very difficult. I found Jamie and her staff's presentation very, very informative. I think they did a great job. You guys have a vision statement. And in looking at the vision statement for what your commission does, if what Judy said needs to be incorporated, maybe we should take another look at the vision statement. I grew up in Kent County. I love Kent County the way it is. But the unfortunate part is there has to be some type of smart growth in order for us to continue the way that we want to live here in this county, because there's just not enough money. And the only way to increase money is raise taxes or bring additional tax base in, but it's got to be done in a smart way. But I applaud all your efforts. I appreciate your service, and I'm looking forward to your good work down the road.
Good. Thank you, sir, and thank you for being the liaison between the Commissioner's office and this commission.
I find it very interesting, and it's something that is very near and dear to me.
We work for you. Is there anything else for the good of the cause?
Just one thing about that letter is if you can change it a little bit so it doesn't look like the same form letter, any personalization you can put on that makes it more important, because otherwise it just goes into a pile of, this is from them.
It goes into a pile, but they count it.
No, I know that, but it counts more if you can put in, my kid, like when Charlene talked about how important the school system was to her child, that kind of stuff really can at least get somebody's attention and.
I can tell them I'm a product of the school system, Judy, but I'm not sure that would be.
Well, there's an opportunity in this letter for you to add your own personal
Oh, good,
comments.
good. Don't do that.
Yeah, you really basically only need the bill numbers, and I'm for it. And anything else is elaboration.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, put that little effort in if
Yep.
you can, because it makes a difference.
I would suspect it's time sensitive.
Yeah.
The sooner the better.
Yep. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Just write it down, I can't find it.
Second. All in favor, aye? Turn off your mics.